Hey there, welcome to episode 34 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I'm your host, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Dan Hugo. Today is Friday the 13th. Let's hope for the best. Episode 34 already. Wow, we're coming along nicely. Today we are going to talk about Excelsior, Part 1. I don't know if Excelsior can have parts, but we're doing it anyway. Excelsior, by the way, if you look it up in a dictionary, stands for, or it means, translates to, or its accepted use, I suppose. Not a ship in Star Trek, although it is, but onward and upward, always upward. Excelsior. The NASA Space App Challenge 2023 Hackathon was this past weekend, October 7th and 8th. From 9 a.m. on Saturday until 11:59 and 59 seconds on Sunday, 38 hours and 59 minutes. I did that math initially many months ago, and I'm not checking it. So if that's wrong, don't tell me. We had 6 teams compete this year. We had 30 people sign up. 30 people signed up. One used a bogus email address. Never heard from that person. It was a anti-spam address, so it expired in 10 minutes. And guess what? You'll never hear from us. So yeah, that was a bad idea. And then one person signed up in solidarity, I guess. I don't understand the notion of, I'll sign up so you get fake numbers. That doesn't really help. But anyway, so 28 of the people that signed up were actually probably going to participate and were reachable. So 12 people actually participated for the actual hackathon. We did have a hackathon boot camp 2 weeks prior. We mirrored the time, so it started at 9 a.m. Saturday. I didn't hear from anyone after 3 p.m. Saturday, so I was a little reticent. But we did have 12 people showed up virtually. We were, we were going to have a virtual, like a hybrid event, so in person and virtual. I'll get to some of the numbers in a moment, but suffice to say, we had 12 people participating remotely. One team of 6, one team of 2. The rest were, the other 4 were teams of 1, so 12 people. Of the 6 teams, 4 were able to submit projects before the cutoff, or shall I say, submitted projects that were accepted for global judging. At this time, we have 2 judges, both Caltech graduates, so nerds. I'm a nerd as well. They graduated from Caltech. I graduated from Harvey Mudd. We have a weird, not particularly useful rivalry with Caltech. So I kid. 2 smart individuals took their time to have a look at the 4 projects that were submitted. I'm going to also check, although my inputs will be non-binding, unless I have to break a tie or something. We only had 2 judges. I'll get to that in a second as well. There were 50,000 plus people. There were 50,000 plus people registered. Sorry for my plumbing audio there if you heard that. 50,000, I think it was 50,188 or something silly like that. So not that the people were silly, some number, just over 50,000. Those are registered to participate. So just like we had 30 people registered, we only had 12 people participate. So it'll be interesting to see what the global participation rate was. It will be high. It will be, I'm going to guess something over 30,000, but we'll see. Teams could be between 1 and 6 people, so we'll probably have an easier time getting the number of teams that participated. So we had 6 participating teams, 4 finished. So we'll see if we can get that data over time. NASA is a government agency that publishes all their stuff open source. So the numbers will be available, but the event just finished. I've noticed that the Slack has calmed down a little bit. Never use Slack to manage a global project. That's my 2 cents. I will say, though, that the 6 teams, the 12 people, I think most of them are from the greater Vegas area. I know 2, 3, 4, 5 of them at least are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, at least 5 are from the greater Vegas area. I've spoken to them, so we'll see if they can indeed help to cultivate an innovation culture in and around greater Vegas. The team of 6, the George Washington's Children, I think it is. By the way, I have a link in the show notes to the spaceappschallenge.org website, /2023/Las-Vegas-NV/?tab. Just go to the show notes. If your podcast host from which you are listening to this, from where, doesn't properly display the show notes with the links, that is a bummer. I got to deal with that. But the teams are there. The 6 teams are listed. I think it's George Washington's Children. Points for creative name. Had 6 people. I'm not sure. I think they're local, but we'll find out. I gotta reach out to individual teams as we get the winner selected. The winner being the team that we get to nominate one team. Local events were able to nominate teams based on number of participants, participating teams or projects. I think it was projects. So for every 10 teams that submitted projects, or for every 10 projects, one nominee can be submitted for global judging, up to 3. So 21 and more participating teams with projects submitted could, the local event judges could submit a total of 3 nominations. If you are inclined to do math, 21 teams, 1 to 6 people per team, so that's 6 people maximum, 21 teams, that is 126 people maximum for the maximum number of nominee teams that can be sent to global judging. So having ginormous events like were found in Cairo, Egypt, just in Egypt and India, you didn't necessarily have to be at the local event. I think they were hybrid. Either way, they had thousands and thousands of participants, and that is a logistics headache. It's fun. It's certainly noteworthy, but it does turn into quite an undertaking. Sorry for the plumbing again. If you heard that, it's a logistics nightmare, and also not nightmare, like it's a substantial undertaking. And I think it would make more sense. I personally, in my experience, have had a good time with about 100 people, especially in-person events. About 100 people would be nearly ideal. So 126 would have been optimal, assuming everybody was able to submit a project. We had 4 teams of 6 submit, like I said, so we'll determine before the 15th, so probably today, Friday the 13th. We'll figure out which one team we will nominate to send to global judging. As well, there are some local badges and so on, recognition for participation and being the beginning of our innovation culture, which we sort of have, but could always use more. Those are our strengths. Those were the upsides. The weaknesses of our event this year, there are several. None are the fault of the people who participated. They're not really a fault issue either, but they are certainly things we need to improve on. I'm not really sure that I will be the local event lead for 2024. There will be an International Space Apps Challenge. In case I didn't say that, the NASA International Space Apps Challenge is the official name of the event. So there will be another one in 2024. This was, I think, the 12th one? 11th? I think it started in 2012. So the 11th, I think, event. So things to fix for next year. Participation was low. Like I said, I think 100 people in person would have been more fun, more opportunities for collaboration across teams. Hackathons, while they may be mildly competitive, are more coopetition. I don't know what the different variations of that word, but you can cooperate between teams, even though you're competing. So it's friendly competition. Everybody learns. Everybody has fun. There's an opportunity to just socialize more in person. There were a couple of issues that came up where we had our open Google Meet, which we have for free. So Google Meet was open for like 32 of the 38 hours or something crazy. So anytime anybody needed something, you just kind of sync up. And that didn't really happen after Saturday. But in person, obviously, that's a little bit more organic, the water cooler discussion, so to speak. But if we had 100 people, it would have been easier to get sponsors, which I'll get to in a moment. It would have been easier to have just more engagement, more variety in project or challenge selection. And I think if we had also had our hybrid event with up to 250 people, I think we would have actually been able to reach out beyond Nevada and engage some other people who are interested. For example, outside of Clark County even, I reached out to Washoe County, which is where Reno and Carson City are, Washoe County. Zero, not even a no, just zero response. That is the Vegas way. Certainly seems to be the Nevada way to simply not answer. So I did reach out to Washoe County, several people, UNR, that's University of Nevada, Reno, at EDAWN, which is the Economic Development Organization for Washoe County. Some other people reached out on LinkedIn, of course. So yeah, not a lot of interest in the remote participation part. And of course, reached out beyond Nevada. It would be nice. It would be nice if my plumbing was not running, if you can hear that. It would be nice if there was just more interest taken by not so much students, which students are fine, but by people who would be willing to drive the outreach and engagement, possibly sponsor. So we had, first of all, we had very low, zero, collaboration with mentors and more experienced competitors. So while student participation is essential, that we must have more, but we must have students interested in innovating outside of their comfort zone, whether it's coding or any aspect of any hackathon style challenges, whether it's a weekend or the Congressional App Challenge is self-paced teams, I believe in high school. Can't be older, high school age or younger, but I think it's just high school. Those are our future innovators, so absolutely essential. However, it would be intensely valuable to have collaboration with mentors who could actually help, could be local subject matter experts. The NASA GitHub discussions scheme that they tried this year, problematic, a little bit noisy. I found some of the subject matter expert responses to questions were, anyway. So collaboration with mentors and then experienced competitors, maybe actual artists, creators, makers, coders. People that do that professionally or in a post-educational capacity. If your day job is coding, or maybe you work at JPL like one of our judges does, and maybe you'd like to participate in a hackathon for NASA, or maybe you'd like to be a mentor and help some of the competitors who are not as experienced as you, something along those lines, some population of people who could have brought their skills, backgrounds, interests, and their interest in helping to mentor the up-and-comers. That would have been valuable. So I'm really hoping, as we hopefully develop a culture of innovation here, which is, in my opinion, in the greater Vegas area, could be stronger. So if we can get that going and draw more people with more background and the desire to share that would be wonderful. Collaboration with local sponsors was zero. It was profoundly difficult to get any response from potential sponsors, which means it was probably better that we did not have an in-person event. An in-person event, there's a reasonable expectation that there will be some sort of snacks, maybe meals. If we had 100 people in person, ideally at one location, not at the Innovation Center downtown, that's actually not a comfortable place to spend 38 hours. So possibly a school or some place where we could have aligned with my local food truck connections and had a couple of food trucks, maybe some late night snacking, coffee trucks for anybody who likes coffee, ways for the parents who were supposed to have been around as chaperones per NASA requirements or rules. Some snacks, beverages, etc. So these things kind of follow each other. So participation, population, and event features. Wow. Event features kind of go together. So sponsorship would have been great. Non-government agencies like the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce or Junior Achievement or other clubs or groups would have been wonderful if they could have helped to announce, get the word out, share links, information, talk it up a little bit. Our innovation culture will depend almost entirely not on people, obviously, the people that are here knowing that there is this possibility. Somebody who's sitting home all day who would love to work on their ideas, who doesn't know that there are resources, people, time. Hey, there's a hackathon this weekend. Oh, I've been interested in space for most of my life. I wish I would have known about it. I'm going to guess that that's been, or could be, a response if one were to mention that we just finished the hackathon. Maybe you're listening to this now saying, I didn't even know about this. And that is one of our shortcomings in Greater Vegas in general. That's been acknowledged. Discovery, communication, certainly RSVPing is tricky. So having local sponsors obviously would have helped with snacks and maybe T-shirts and other swag, maybe some local prizes for participation, etc. Non-government agencies helping to get the word out to their charges, right? Junior Achievement works with entrepreneurial youth under age 25. Hey, guess who we're trying to reach out to be innovators and to work on projects like the NASA challenges, in addition to our own projects that are ongoing. They're not competition oriented, finished on a due date for our Innovate for Vegas Foundation projects, but similar thinking, right? Like if you're interested in participating in these things, you have to find out about them and know about them. And of course, our governments, not agencies, government staffers, not junior achievement, chamber of, sorry, I'm looking at the words in my notes. City council. I reached out to at least one city council person in the city of Las Vegas. Didn't get much in the way of care. Reached out to people with city of Las Vegas, Clark County. I have reached out before to people in Henderson, North Las Vegas. It is exceedingly difficult to get the attention of people if you are not building a stadium or a sphere or paving the strip or committing some other travesties against humanity. So if you want to get attention, you got to don't talk about innovation. So that was a shortcoming. So in general, for next year, for 2024, if there is a Las Vegas event for the NASA International Space Apps Challenge, general participation, it does take a village, as they say, not just the interested and interesting high school students who want to take the time, but actual participation across the board, across the spectrum, sponsors, collaborators, mentors, experienced people, less experienced people, people who are coders, people who are creators, more people who have the mindset of innovation and who would like to just take a weekend, try out some ideas and have fun doing it. So hopefully we've learned something and we too can innovate. And I think I said this, I don't believe that I will be the local lead next year. I think I would like to pass that torch or baton, but if we can help out. Oh, by the way, there's another weakness that we'll have to tackle in the near term. There are people that are interested in taking on challenges. We now have 12 that we know we're interested in this one. There's the Congressional App Challenge going on right now. The project submission's November 1st, which is coming up in about 2 weeks. There are people who want to participate in Hacktoberfest, and there are other people who want to participate in other challenge-style hackathons. These are sometimes with prizes or a particular goal, sometimes a company or a type of technology, or in the case of non-tech, maybe there's a food challenge, maybe there's a beverage challenge. Who knows? It could be any number of things where you are innovating on a timeline, a ticking clock, possibly with prizes. So that's one reason we want to create the Challengers portal, to recognize and celebrate these people that do these things, but also to be able to communicate with them and say, hey, you seem to be interested in these things. Well, here's another one. It was difficult, and by that I mean impossible, to find and communicate with the organizer of the Las Vegas event from 2021, which ironically had the exact same, well, it had 12 participants across 4 teams that submitted projects. So I don't know if there were other teams. I don't think so. I think there was 4. So we had 2 extra teams, but 4 teams submitted projects as of 2021. So the organizer of that event, the local lead, I connected with that person on LinkedIn. They're still in the NASA Slack, but I never received a response to things like, hey, anything I should know? Any words of wisdom? Similarly, I couldn't really find the 12 people. There was no contact information for the 12 people from 2021 who participated. It was, I looked at two were found on LinkedIn, but not responsive. They must be from Vegas. So basically developing not only the culture of innovation here, but a population of people who are actually interested and being able to reach out to them directly, having an anchor point, and also so that they're recognized. No one will know the winner of this year's 2023 International Space Apps Challenge for the Las Vegas event if we don't tell people. I will promise you right now, the Review Journal, the Las Vegas Sun, the various TV stations, other news outlets, the Nevada Current, the Nevada Independent, any news source, any YouTubers, Norma, Jacob, all these people are not going to spend a moment visiting the NASA Space Apps Challenge.org website to see what the teams were, who participated, what the challenges were, who won the big event, the global winner to be announced in January, I think it is. So we don't actually promote people's participation, then there's a tendency to kind of say, well, if nobody really cares, why put myself through a weekend of hackathon if I can just do my own thing? And it's hard to argue against that, except that if we have a real culture of innovation here, there would be a tendency to say, I spend a lot of time on my thing. Maybe I could spend a weekend at a hackathon working on something outside the box, extend my my reach beyond my grasp, and just see what I can do. And maybe meet some other people that I've not worked with before, or maybe I have a team that I want to work with. Go to a hackathon, see what happens. So in a cultivated and functional culture of innovation, I believe you will see people more inclined to take some personal time to try something they haven't really done recently or before or ever. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Onward and Upward, as the title says. So Hacktoberfest 2023, we are almost halfway through Hacktober. I am so far behind, it's ridiculous. And because the Innovator Vegas Foundation is mostly one person lately, as far as administration goes, it's all on me. All of the hats are on my head. So this is the 10th year of Hacktoberfest. It's sponsored by DigitalOcean and a number of other people. DigitalOcean has been I think it's correct. They've been sponsoring every year. So some other sponsors, Major League Hacking is running some event coordination tools, I think, this year. I've met Major League Hacking at various of the hackathons I've participated in myself as a mentor more, but in my travels. I think I first met them at HackRU, Rutgers in New Jersey. So yeah, we'll see how the Hacktoberfest unrolls. I think we're going to put the Challengers project and My Muni possibly up as Hacktoberfest, open for pull requests and so on. Now, unfortunately, there's a slight disconnect between the Hacktoberfest mantra. They would like to have, just like the NASA Space Apps Challenge, they would like to invite non-coders. But being so GitHub and GitLab centric in the case of Hacktoberfest, it's tricky because I've talked to, even people who are nascent web designers. They love Figma, or maybe they love, various other Photoshop or whatever, Adobe tools, whatever suite. I haven't used Adobe stuff in forever. But, you're more inclined to express yourself with these tools, which are fine. But and I know Figma has recently introduced the integration with GitHub, but it's just not a notion that is sort of encouraged, I guess, is to participate with project teams, especially open source, where you might work on a Figma or maybe Penpot, an open source competitor to Figma. Maybe you want to contribute to an open source project with some user interface design or user experience components that you can work through a workflow. Maybe you have a skeleton or some other, maybe some iconography or maybe some typography changes, or who knows. It could be a number of things that are not classically considered code, but you may not be experienced with GitHub or GitLab or Git in general. So maybe you're like, well, I don't want to deal with this. So that might push you away. So I think the Hacktoberfest hill is still one to climb. We'll see. So yeah, I would like to get those going. The Challenger project is essentially just starting. So it might be a question of people chiming in on features. These are clearly open to normal people, not coders necessarily, but people who would expect as users, participants of hackathons, mentors, possibly sponsors, right? What do you need? What kind of user story input could you provide? Because our specs that we do for our projects are supposedly, when there's more than one person, are collaborative. They're inspired by the agile workflow, the original. So specs are about trying to service our customers. So the Challenger platform would be really about the challengers, so participants in challenges or hackathons, and also, sponsors, collaborators, the general public, people that would visit a website or other similar destination and find out who participated in the International Space Apps Challenge for 2023 and who won and can I hire them, etc. So having collaboration at the spec phase is actually a part of our entire approach to project development, and they don't have to be code projects. So we'll see. We'll see how Hacktoberfest goes. If you are not familiar with Hacktoberfest, I've put a link in the show notes, hacktoberfest.com, just exactly like it sounds. Hacktober, like October, hacktoberfest.com. So you can check that out. And again, it's not just for coders. It's a shame that it is too easy to assume that everything is somehow a JavaScript, React native, or whatever. Everything has to be a web development thing or a native app thing. Nobody is even considering the fact that Hacktoberfest should include like restaurant projects, like comment on my menu, come up with a new menu, or whatever, right? Like I know there's different value there. Open source recipes. I wonder if that's a thing. But anyway, that's innovation. Hacktoberfest should be about powering innovation and fomenting that notion, that mindset. So we'll see what role we can play in that effort here in Vegas, if you would like to innovate for Vegas. You don't have to innovate in Vegas. So Excelsior, as the title says, where do we go from here? The Space Apps Challenge was a learning experience, to be sure. It's sort of the line in the sand beyond which we need to make some changes. I went through some of the weaknesses that we can address. But in general, we need to engage with more interested and interesting people who want to work on projects, whether it's the Space Apps Challenge, whether it's a Hacktoberfest project, whether it's a Congressional App Challenge, whether it's something completely new and different, whether it's local, whether it's global, galactic. Could be code, could be creative, could be art, science, STEAM, could be comedy, could be food, drink, whatever. So people who are interested and interesting, we need to make sure those people are engaged, enabled, and encouraged. Engaged, enabled, and encouraged. They all start with E. It's like I did that on purpose. Experience is better. For as far as Innovate for Vegas Foundation projects, when we first started, I think we attracted people who were curious, but also inexperienced. There was a notion that perhaps this is a boot camp style or, show me how to fill in the blank. And because we're an all volunteer organization, fun fact, I do not get paid for a moment, completely uncompensated. But I do make up, how do I turn this into real value? The answer is simple: volume. So, but if we have more people participating in more projects, we can release things to the world and make our communities better, as our purpose statement says. And eventually a value for value model can kick in and provide some sort of, we'll say compensation. It might not be financial, but some sort of outcomes that are driven by the effort put in at the beginning. So if we can actually connect with interested and interesting people who have some experience or who are willing to be self-driven, not to say self-taught, that's a tricky line that I'm not going to get into today or much. But if you say you're a graphic artist, if you want to participate in projects, great. I can't help you. I have no talent whatsoever in that area. But you should come to the table with some awareness of what you'd like to do and sort of how you want to do it. If you are a nascent graphic artist, you have some interest and you've used some tools. You've used My Paint or whatever, Paint, Microsoft Paint, or remember Mac Paint way back when. So maybe you are interested, but you've never taken like formal classes or you don't have any experience doing it, but you are willing to learn and you have the wherewithal to do so. Not show me how to paint, show me how to create graphics, show me how to, create a new file and save it. If you are willing to learn, we have plenty to do. This applies to code and not code alike. If you are a completely self-taught JavaScript programmer, that is certainly interesting. If you are a JavaScript programmer or you want to be a web developer, but you have no idea how to start and you are waiting to be told what to do, this is not for you. So we need to find people who are either experienced or who want to proactively develop their experience, in addition to people who want to mentor others. So more experienced people who can, and this is the extreme programming or agile pair programming notion, a more senior person and a more junior person. This can apply not only to coding, but to anything. If you're working on a project, somebody who's been there and done that and somebody who's not been there and done that, quite often they will both learn something at the end from the other. So the information and collaboration flow is in two directions. People often believe that is not the case, but I've done this too many times. I do know it is the case more often than not. Art, code, language translation, project management, marketing, quality assurance. There's tons of stuff that can be done to contribute to open source projects, just in general, not just ours. So that's a message we need to be more proactive about getting out. We also are reaching out beyond Nevada. We have tried to work with people in Greater Vegas, in Washoe County. The Hack for Reno organization was a Code for America Brigade that is being sunset because the Code for America Brigade program is being sunset. So we reached out to them when we first formed about collaboration across the state, got the crickets. So we will eventually find people, no matter where they are, who want to work on projects in general. Do they have to be for Vegas? No. But our projects are about smart city. So they're community and people oriented on the ground in a city-ish setting. So, excuse me, we're not necessarily building virtual worlds, although the virtual Vegas capstone is our capstone project. So the components of our smarter smart city that we would like to execute on could be anything from actual code to how people move around in the city. So there's an accessibility and parks and rec component. If you want to be Leslie Knope and go and make sure that people can actually get onto sidewalks and not get hit by cars because the crosswalk button is inaccessible. Things like this. If you actually want to see your communities elevated and you want to play a role in that in open source efforts, that's what we're working on. As well, I don't know if you know this, Las Vegas draws about 40 million visitors from around the world every year. So ideally, say our open transit project, if we get that rolling, people from around the world may start using the open transit project powered by Innovate for Vegas volunteers. Named, by the way, we are very staunch about this, staunch supporters of attribution. If you contribute to our projects, it doesn't matter if you're not a coder, you absolutely get named, credited unless you don't want to. You know, who did the user interface? Who did the copy editing? Who did the, UX design? These are not all coding tasks, but everybody should get credit for their work. And ideally, as more and more people experience our smarter smart city as a result of the people in it, not some backroom meetups that send money to other companies and other places that never talk to you. We always talk to our community members. I talk to people on the bus all the time. I've certainly heard their frustrations. So if our open transit project works not only for the 2.4 million, I think it is, in people in Clark County. Open transit is an example. Not everyone rides the bus yet, but as well, the 40 million people, some of whom do ride the bus or take public transit in general, the monorail perhaps could fit in there somewhere. The more people who see that the value of community-driven projects that actually address real needs, they can go back to where they live and they can say, hey, how come Las Vegas is actually a smarter smart city? The hype is real. It isn't today, but it could be. So that's one of the things we want to lean into heavily is the value that so many people come here who may or may not be aware that civic volunteers spend their volunteer time trying to build projects of various kinds to make their communities better. They have no idea. So discovery of these things, hands-on, oh, I didn't know this worked this way, etc., is one of the value propositions we will extend to the world so that anyone can innovate for Vegas without innovating in Vegas. And who knows, something you work on, one of our projects or one of your projects, if we can collaborate, your project may see 40 million people trying it out, or some fraction of them. You may contribute to our products. You may contribute to our projects. We may contribute to yours. Something we work on here might work in your city, vice versa. So there's really boundaries, and claims to territorial implementation of any project are not always going to be ideal, and sometimes aren't applicable. Open transit would ideally work wherever public transit is, if we write it correctly. And hey, that's part of the journey, is learning how to write tools that are not making assumptions about where they are being used and how and by whom. And so that is the onward and upward part of the show. More and more participation, ideally. We are only, as of yesterday, October 12, we received our IRS 501c3 determination in 2022. So we are 1 year and a day since our determination. As you may or may not know, our determination is retroactive to our date of entity formation, which was June 16th, 2022. So we've been a charity for a while. We've been tax deductible public charity efforts since June, but we are always just beginning. It seems every day is a new start. And so, we're hoping that the hackathons and other efforts from October will be the beginning of this journey to try to do some interesting things with more people participating, and even more people getting to try out, see, witness, experience the efforts of volunteers who would like to make our communities better. On that note, I will thank you for listening. I will hope that I can get our winning team, whichever team that might be, and I honestly don't know. I've explicitly not looked at any of the email discussions between our judges. So we have to submit that this weekend to NASA. So hopefully today, actually, we'll get that wrapped up. And hopefully this is the beginning of actual local innovators performing local innovation, whether for challenges with prizes and judging and so on, or ongoing projects that are about civic volunteerism and community development and community elevation, job skills development, pretty much good stuff. Remember, we're all volunteers. We have no release schedule, although we should try to aim for something like one. It's exceedingly difficult to put volunteers on a schedule. So we have an Agile for Volunteers model. We can talk about that sometime in the future. 2-week intervals. Is it intervals or iterations? I always confuse those. I think it's intervals. 2 weeks. All we ask is that you do something and commit it to the project, whatever it might be. So that's all I know. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening on another episode of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. One of these days we'll have another guest. I think I said this, I'm hoping to get the winning team on for next week. We'll see how that goes. And then there are a couple of people I'm working on trying to schedule to talk about innovation culture development, and cultivation, and so on. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. And I thank you for listening again, and wrapping it up. Take care.